So we're ready to relive the dynastic era in the 21st century by building a pyramid in Onshape. Or you're trying to figure out how to make a classic roof for your pavilion. First, I'm going to dictate that we're going to be doing a square pyramid, and we want the rain to be falling on the top of the roof. So in choosing a sketch plane, we should be using the top plane. So I'm going to choose a top plane and develop a sketch from that plane. Using N on the keyboard, I can have the sketch plane be normal to my view. The choice in different types of rectangles. In this case, I'm going to choose the center point rectangle. It will become clear a little bit later as to why I've used that one. And make a square off the center. Now I'll place that here. Now it is going to be tempting to make that square by adding just 2 dimensions to your drawing and making them equal. So I'd say 4 over here and then 4 over here. I'm going to suggest that this is not the best way to do that. Let's say I was working on my design and later wanted to change that to 6 inches. Then I would have to come and change this to 6 inches. It's just not the best design method. So instead, I'm going to get rid of those dimensions and use a constraint. Over here, if I use the equality constraint and make those two equal, now when I add a single dimension to my drawing here and make that 6 inches, we can see that the entire square went from blue to black, indicating that it's fully constrained. And now if I want to change this back to 4 inches again, there, it changes very quickly. Much better design intent. And if you really want to be clever about it, I'm going to delete this whole thing here. And I am going to take my center point rectangle, place that center point, and if I hold down my Option key while I do that, it automatically snaps to a rectangle. I took the Option key off, I press the Option key, you can see it quickly automatically snapping, and then I set the square down. It does that equality constraint for me, and now all I would need to do is put that 1 dimension in at 4 inches. Beautiful. All right, I've finished my sketch. Next, let's look at it isometrically. So now I have that base for my pyramid, but I need a point at which all of those edges arrive to create that pyramid shape, and it needs to be somewhere above this square. There are a couple of ways to do this, and the best option, as it is the easiest option, would to be to take and put on your front plane a single point. So we'd use a sketch on our front plane and take and put a single point somewhere above your square, which is down here. However, because I want to show you another tool in Onshape today, I'm not going to do that option. We're going to do something a little more complicated because usually your design will not have the object being directly in the center of your Cartesian coordinate system. So we need to create a plane or another basically sheet of paper that is somewhere above my top plane. So over in my my toolbar here, I have the plane tool. It creates a new construction plane by referencing existing planes or geometry. So here we go, I click on that. I want to make a plane that is, let's say, 3 inches above my top plane. So I'll select that top plane, and you can see that second plane develop there. And I can tell it an offset distance of 3 inches, and there we go. We've got a plane above there. Now that looks a little bit high, so let's adjust that down to 2 inches just to make my my pyramid a little bit more roof-like. All right, so I've got the plane. Now we can put a point on top of that plane to be the top of our pyramid. So now I'm going to add another sketch. That sketch will be using that new plane I just created. I'm going to hit end so it's normal to that plane, and I will take and put a point directly on the center point of my center point rectangle. That's where that came in as a smart design choice, to use a center point instead of an edge point rectangle. And I place that point there. Now when I look at it isometrically, I can see that there is a point that exists up here in my screen. All right, so I've got the point, I've got my rectangle. Now I am ready to make a solid. We'll at this point only have two 2D sketches. Now, can I extrude to make a solid in this case? Nope, won't make the right shape. Revolve to make a solid. Yes, it makes solids, not the right shape again. Sweep, not the right shape. We are using one of the last tools here that we can use to create a solid, which is the loft. So I'm going to hit the loft. I'm going to choose solid. It's going to be new. And then it asks for profiles. In this pop-out window, I will choose my square and I will choose the point. Then you can see our pyramid develop. Pretty cool. You could stop there, but I would also encourage you now to start playing with some of the options and see, could you make some interesting shapes that are not necessarily your standard shapes for a roof. So play around with that and enjoy.